petty all the time. I'm petty all the time.
Baby, welcome to the party.
Give me a P. Give me a E. Give me a T. T-Y. I'm petty all the time. Give me a P. Give me a E. Give me a T. T-Y. I'm petty all the time.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode with your favorite ladies from Petty Party Podcast. It's your girl Just Nick checking in.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Paulette coming out the set. What's good?
Hey y'all, it's been a while, but they saved the best for last, and it's your girl Shelly Shaw, aka Egypt if you nasty, and welcome back to another episode of Petty Party Podcast.
Yeah, we're good.
Three of us in
I
the
was
studio
gonna say
today.
it's only three of us in the studio today, but we're still gonna give you the exact same banter, the exact same energy, and we're gonna have a great time. And we're drinking, so I feel like every time we drink, we're doing good.
That's not problematic. We do not need liquor, guys. Okay, it's a choice.
But you know, it makes it a little bit more spicy. You know, you get that liquid courage. It makes you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
How y'all feeling? Like, I feel like now we're coming down to we're winding down summer. We're going into fall. Are the people back in y'all's phones?
No.
I feel like I say this every year, but people definitely spin the block when it starts to get a little bit cold.
But that's law, because you think about it, like it's clockwork. So throughout the year, like after winter, I would say like around March, people start knowing like, okay, summertime is coming out. Like it started getting hotter. People start wearing, people start going out more, wearing less. And then the guys start getting distracted. So they outside. Like, they're not trying to hear about no relationship. Like, no, get out. But then summer comes to an end and they're like, wait a minute. I need somebody who I can text on a regular, see on a regular. Yeah, so they start going through their phone and see who's going to text back.
That's true. Oh, that's so sad. What?
I mean, yeah.
Not me being a part of the who's going to text back.
I mean, because imagine you not texting me all summer and think you're going to get a text back.
That's very true.
You shouldn't.
Dang, you don't even just be like, oh, hey, what's up? See, like a small convo. I entertain just a little bit, but I never go past okay, you actually have a chance of coming back.
I think it depends on how it ended, though.
Okay.
It really depends on how it ended, because there are some situations where they end amicably, and sometimes it's on both sides. Like maybe it's even when they hit me up, I'm like, why did we stop talking? I don't even realize I might have stopped texting you. You might have stopped texting me. So I don't mind just I don't think it's really spinning a block. It's more reconciling.
Okay.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm not reaching out to a man. If he reaches out to me, cool, but I'm not reaching out to a guy to spin the block. Like, he could spin the block to me, but I'm not spinning the block to another guy. Yeah, I'm just gonna find a new guy.
No, that's what we're saying. Yeah. But do you actually respond back to the guys that even spin the block on you? Whenever it starts to get cold outside.
It depends on where I'm at. To be honest, not gonna lie, in the new space I'm in now, I'm not really entertaining these old niggas. Yeah. There's a reason why they're still not in the rotation. Yeah. So I'm looking for new people. No, I definitely agree. I think that everyone has shown me why they were cut off in the first place. Right.
It's always something. And I'm like, and I'd be so mad at myself that I'm like, dang, I actually entertained this person again.
Right.
And you showed me again. Who is the bozo? Me.
No, but what about the people who you didn't cut them off, but maybe they were trying to talk to you as you were getting serious with somebody else, so they almost got cut off from even exploring something more.
Okay, so
they deserve a second chance.
I am a believer in not only the right person but the right time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if there's a reason why you come in at the time where I'm actually getting serious with somebody and I don't have that time or even that energy to be able to give to you, then you weren't really meant for me. And if we end up coming back around to each other where we're both single, we're both in that headspace, we're both still like each other, then cool. But if not, it is what it is.
Right.
All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the MOTO. And we have a listener that wrote into us. Let's get into it. It's titled, Should I Show Up for the Civil Case? Hey, I'm trying to figure out if I was petty for taking this girl's money or were my actions justified. I'm currently 22, and the girl I'm talking about is an ex-friend who's also 22. Let's call her Sam. Sam and I have known each other since high school and stopped being friends a couple of months ago. I introduced her to her current boyfriend because he and I were friends at the time. They met and things started getting rough. After we graduated, where her boyfriend basically stole $8,000 from my sister. My friend was on social media spending it, getting her hair done, nails done, buying clothes. I mean, going all out. So I confronted her, and she tried to claim that she thought my sister knew and let him have the money. But never once did she text her or me and follow up knowing her boyfriend steals from people. It became this whole thing, and she basically said it wasn't that big of a deal. And I should let it go, and we stopped talking for a while after that. And I completely cut her off because that's crazy. In 2021, I got pregnant, and apparently her sister follows me on social media and had notified her about her younger sister, and my younger sister are friends. So she reached out to my sister and asked for my number. My sister was being dumb, gave it to her, and started texting me like we were best friends and like nothing had happened in the past. This was so concerning to me, so I tried to be the bigger person and be nice about it, and we can continue the friendship. At some point, I got myself into a situation and I needed to borrow money from her. I had to literally beg her to lend me $300. Even though in high school, I paid for an abortion, which was $300. And I never begged her or threatened her to give me the money back because we were friends and I thought it was cool. And I was helping out, and I didn't think it was, I didn't want to take it as anything too personal. After a while, she kept begging me for the money back, and I kept telling her that I was going to pay her back. I just need to get my stuff together because after the incident, I was in a tough place. And she kept saying, oh, I understand, but you can pay me back in small amounts here and there. I just basically had to tell her I didn't have it. So mind you, I'm going through everything, and she wants me to continue to hang out and keep hanging out, even though I have a kid now. Also, let me remind you, I'm in a long-term relationship with my now fiance. One day she kept asking me, and I said no. She got mad and basically said that I wasn't a real friend because I never hang out with her. But her boyfriend keeps dumping her. Her boyfriend is the same way he was in high school. So I don't understand why she thought I would push to hang out with her and her partner or hang out with her 2 times a week. She didn't want to be friends anymore after I told her no. And I said, sure, fine. And then she tried to open up a civil case and take me to court for the $300. I saw an envelope. I didn't even open it. I just returned it back to sender. Damn. And I had no intentions of going to the court date or giving her money back. Was I being petty? Mind you, this girl in high school never knew that I was homeless for a whole year. She expected me to fight on her behalf. And when the people that she was fighting with had nothing to do with me, she would get upset if I was hanging out with other people. But she had other friends. Like I feel like overall she was a terrible friend and didn't seem involved in my life or seem to care. I feel like I have a lot going on without her. Am I wrong?
You are kind of wrong. I'm not gonna lie.
You owe someone money, just pay them back.
But I don't even think it's that, and I think that's why I'm not gonna lie. I got a little bit confused because I do think that there is this dynamic where you owe somebody money, and it does get a bit uncomfortable hanging out with them. But you did mention that outside of her asking you about the money, she was also asking you to hang out, and you had your stuff going on. And respectfully, like when you have something going on, you don't want to hang out all the time. But you also have to kind of put yourself in her shoes. So like if somebody owes you money and it's like they're also falling back from being a friend, it's like how can she give you grace to say, okay, well, she'll take her time to pay me back if you're also not communicating that. And it seems like a lot of y'all's differences come from things that you didn't communicate. Like how you said like you were homeless for a year, but she didn't even know. So I do think maybe if you would have just communicated like, hey, I'm going through a lot, and maybe address the money situation, it may not have went to the civil case. But to her, she probably thinking you're avoiding her because you don't want to pay her back, which might
that's
be
the
case.
conclusion. That is the conclusion I drew, that the reason why like there was a change in y'all's dynamic is because like she was like actually communicating with you about like how to pay her the money back, and I think that was frustrating you. And in that moment, I think you should have then like explained to her. So then I feel like she would have been understanding. And then also too, like just tell her like, hey, I can't hang out right now because of X, Y, and Z. Like you don't even have to go into full detail, but I do think if a friend's trying to reach out and like hang out with you, like you owe her to like let her know like why you're not available anymore. You don't have to go into full detail, but be like, hey, like I'm just not open to hanging out right now. And like I don't think she's gonna beat you up about it, but I do think it's very petty for you to have seen an envelope from the civil suit, whatever court letter it was, and you know what it's involving. I think it's very petty you to run away from the situation. I would have picked up the phone and called her and talked to her and see what's going on, but I don't know if she's even picking up her phone now because she took you to court. But I do think it's petty running away from it. I think you should face it head on.
See, it's crazy. So I kind of have a difference of opinions on that. I feel like I had to learn this later on in life. So at 22, I don't know if I learned it yet, but I'm a firm believer in you don't loan what you can't do without. So for me, if someone asks me for money and let's say that I would give them $300, you should, if they're your friend, you should expect it back. But at the same time, people go through things, and I can't expect, I'll be honest with you, when people start to ask for money, more than likely they're asking for money from multiple people. And so they're already in a rut. So it's kind of hard for them to muster up that money to give it back to you, because more than likely if they give it back to you, they're back in their rut. Yeah. So for me, I give people things, I loan people things without expecting it back. That's one. Two, if you're my friend and you know that I asked you for money, why are you asking me to hang out and do things that I might not be able to do in that moment? So I think that that's where you kind of have to be aware and read the room, where it's sure, maybe I would like to hang out with you, but I just asked you for money. So right now I'm trying to keep my head down. I'm trying to grind. I'm trying to get that money back. I'm trying to get myself out of the rut that I'm currently in.
Right.
That's one thing. And then 3, I think that the other friend is actually being petty to take her to civil court. I think that's very petty. I think it's to take her to civil court, because the thing is y'all clearly have a dynamic of giving and taking. And so in that moment, I think it's one of those things where your friend just kind of felt hurt that she I don't know if she felt like she lost a friend, or what, you were playing her and you weren't really her friend, whatever the case may be. So I do think that she did the civil case out of spite. And then especially to do the civil case on top of knowing that you already are in a rut, I just don't think y'all are friends.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have a solid foundation enough to be able to be friends in this moment. And for me, I think that is a major flag for me. If someone can kick me while I'm down, that person is not meant to be in my life. That's just where I'm at.
Yeah, you make good points. Necessarily, but there are because hearing this situation, I always think dang, I could never do this, but I do know people that would do things like this to their friends, and they will be back cool right after. But that's just what they do. But I do think that the reason why the friend probably did that, I don't think it was more so to now start a case. I think it was to a cry for attention. Bro, what's going on? You're, to me, because Nikki said she said that she feels like she's losing a friend. You have to put yourself in her shoes as well. She loaned you money, and then you start switching up, acting weird. It shouldn't be like that. Especially if you're, this is how I feel. If you're bold enough to ask someone for help, it now shouldn't be a thing where now you start becoming too big to entertain certain conversations with them, or hey, to me that's kind of weird. Wait, you can ask me for money and now you can't hang out with me? That's weird. I'll be honest with you, seeing both sides. So do I think y'all both have petty moments in this situation? Absolutely. I understand everyone's side, but I do think that kind of look at her side too. You did start switching up on your friend because of course you're going through stuff, but how do you know she's not going through stuff and she wants a friend to hang out with? Yeah. So look at it like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree, because I know you said it was, I guess the friend should understand that she's going through stuff. She doesn't have money to hang out. But at the same time, I don't really think hanging out requires money. It doesn't sound like she was oh, let's do this, let's do all these things. I think, like she said, her boyfriend was out of town doing all those other things. It seemed like from the friend's point of view, it's you were in a rut and you needed some financial support, and I provided that for you. I'm just asking for emotional support in this time period. And it's you can't give that to me. And I think that's probably what provoked her to go the civil route, because she's maybe felt used in that moment. And mind you, girl, I don't think that's what you were doing at all. I just think that you're going through a lot and you're probably having difficulty balancing it all. And sometimes when you're in that situation, I mean, it does kind of make you a bad friend. I'm not saying you are a bad friend, but you can't come off that way. And I do think that in the situation, knowing that, I think the way that you humbled yourself to ask her for money, not saying you have to beg her, but the way you humbled yourself to ask her for money, to then turn around and say, I'm too busy to hang out with you. I do think that in having that energy, it kind of is then why did you... then that shouldn't have been the person that you go to in your time of need. I feel like the person you go to in your time of need is the type of person where you should be able to do the same thing for.
Right.
You know? So, because who knows if that was her last $300? Like we don't know it. Just the same way, like she probably wouldn't tell you that, you know. So I do think that friendship sometimes it does require you to bend and fold, you know.
Yeah. So it's also a relationship too that you have to maintain and pour into and water and work on. So I don't know, maybe like reach out to her. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think ever it's too late to reach out and have a conversation with someone. Like, I don't know how civil cases work, if it can be overturned or you can cancel it, whatever. But I do think like y'all should sit down and definitely have a conversation and just get down to the bottom of things, see where things went sour and work on it. Like, hell, y'all helped each other both in different areas of life. Like, you said she went through what she did in high school and you helped her then. So, and she now helped you now. Like, y'all are friends. So just work on it. Just talk.
But she was petty for suing you.
Yeah. So for me,
a lot of people just be doing that because it's.
I don't think there's any coming back.
Like an ego.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'll be honest with you. She's not my friend. So like, there's no coming back from like you doing a civil suit against me. I'm not gonna be your friend. That's just me being completely honest. But at the same time, I don't loan money to people. Like, I used to be the type of where like, okay, like if someone comes to me like they're in need, they're this, like I'm just gonna give it to them. Which sometimes I do, but it's not a loan. And it might not be the full amount of what they're asking. Like, let's say they're asking me for $500. I'll be like, hey, you know, right now I have $200 I can spare. Here's this. I'm not asking for it back, you know?
Right.
But that's it. But where as far as like a loan, like it would have to be like family or like, it's probably like people I can count on my hand.
I think about they're young, 22, like 300. Giving away 300 is a lot.
That's a lot of money.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's
like, no, giving at 22, that's is a lot of money. But that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why I actually had to cut that off, because I do feel like there was a certain point where people were looking at me like almost like a cash cow, like a cash madame. I was like, well, and also, do you not have anyone else to ask?
Yeah.
And also with their age, like no telling if like she looked it up, was like, you sue people for stuff like that. And it's like, no, like in these type of situations, you don't do that.
I feel like she went to somebody who advised her.
Someone,
to do that.
yeah. And I feel like if it was up
take
to
her
her,
small claims court, because we used to always hear people saying
always say small claim. And I'm always
until
like,
you're older,
small
you just
claim.
like that's actually so childish.
But too, a lot of people do that to get their money back because.
But you get to think about the court fees. Plus the 300, you know what I'm saying? It's not even gonna be worth it.
It works for some people. They
but
get
I
their
feel
money
like
back.
you'll do that. You wouldn't do that to a friend though. Like,
no, I'm not.
If
not
my friend owed me money, I'm not going.
No,
to
I would sue somebody.
It's like a.
If it's like a large amount, I would definitely
it's a
sue
big corporation.
But
I think
like,
small claims has to be less than 1,000.
Yeah, I'm not suing. I'm not doing small stuff. Like it just doesn't make sense. You'll be okay. There, you already got the money back. Honestly, in other ways, so it's okay. But I feel like. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I don't really think it's a tough situation. I just do think that maybe other people listening in, like if you find yourself in a situation like this, just communicate with your friend. Yeah. Talk to them. Don't just jump to conclusions and do things like that you're not prepared to face the consequence behind.
And we're definitely not dogpiling you, girl, because I'm sure that
I'm on your side.
Yeah, I'm sure, like you said, like Nikki said earlier as well, like you were in a situation where you had to ask for money. You didn't specify what it was for, but I'm sure it was for something that maybe was like one of the reasons why like you're off the grid now and you have a child, you have a fiance, and you're really just, you know, trying to focus on what you got going on. And I'm sure like this is probably like the reason you threw away the mail was probably because you couldn't deal with one more thing.
Yeah,
you know?
That's like, I feel like that's kicking you whenever you're down. Yeah. It's like, I don't like stuff like that. At the end of the day, like, yeah, she could have handled it differently. She could have opened it, reached out to her friend. But at the same time, that's not your friend no more. So
yeah, but you're 22. You'll learn that people are people. People are hardened and selfish and all those other things. And just be wary of who you ask money from, because people turn weird over money. Like that's just real life facts. Like you think you know somebody and wait till you owe them some money or they owe you some money.
When
you'll
really
see a different side to them. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, but sorry you're going through that, girl. Ultimately. Your friend is petty. Should you show up to that civil case? Yeah, because if you don't, they're gonna put that on your head. So
y'all think this is like a question. You think she's saving up for her wedding?
$300?
I'm just saying, like, is that why she's like down and not like? I'm just asking a question, like.
No,
because she's engaged now. Like, I mean,
I don't think she would.
Your fiance couldn't help you. You know, I'm just asking. Like, I mean,
people have. No, I was as a question down. So no, I don't think that it's a thing where she's like trying to use it for something that she doesn't actually need. Yeah. Like I think to beg someone for money, I think that is a very humbling experience, and I would hope that no one would do that for something they actually don't need.
Right.
And it definitely gave it, because if she was saving it, I feel like her friend was hounding it, she would give it right back.
Yeah.
It definitely gave like the money is spent.
Right.
The money is spent.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move on to the petty chronicle, and it's actually extremely short. So I actually had like a girlfriend, and she basically was telling me, like, lamenting to me about like dating and things that she was dealing with. And she was talking about a certain guy that like she was going back and forth with. Like, you know, he wasn't really serious. He'll always like come in, pop in and out, talk like with a serious chest, but then have no actions in return. So finally, she was like at her wits' end. She's like, you know what? I'm just gonna just like, I'm not talking to him anymore. Like, it is what it is. So the guy came out the wood and was like, hey, I want to like take you out. Let me know when you're available, X, Y, and Z. So she was like, she gave him her schedule and left it at that. Like, she really was keeping conversation extremely short. Mind you, she said that the guy kept coming in, like, was like basically dangling the date, like always referencing it. But there was like no actual physical place, physical plan, anything like. So she would just, once again, keep the conversation short, because it's kind of like, you know, some people, not saying all men, but some men will kind of like dangle the idea of something in your front of your face just to see like how excited you're going to be about it and stuff like that. Low-key kind of like a miniature test. So what kind of broke the camel's back was, she told me that like she literally received a message from him, and he was basically saying, okay, Chili's, and he provided the address and the date that she picked. And then he said, hopefully 8:00 works for you. And like, she immediately was just like, she said that she like put her phone down and was like, I don't think, is this for real? Like, am I in the Twilight Zone type stuff? So basically she was like, I don't know what I should do. Should I say something back? Should I block him? This, that, and the third. Mind you, like a group of us were like kind of like, she kind of reached out to a few people, and we all kind of were on the same accord. But then like one of our friends was like, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to lie. I think like you should basically kind of like throw it back in his face and then, you know, tell him like it's small boy stuff. And so I'm going to read y'all what she texted back to him. She sent it to us, and I thought it was extremely funny. And I want to know if she was petty or not for saying that, or if she should have just left it at silence and block. One moment. Okay. She was like, hey, good morning. I'm not going to lie. I stopped eating at Chili's in my 20s. I'm not a big fan of the menu or the environment. I think it's more suited for large families and children, and it's really not my scene. And that was that. And then later on, she came back later on in the day, and she was like, the person read it, and that was that. And then she then said that, followed up later, like literally like a few hours later, talking about, okay, thanks for letting me know. Was she petty for saying something, or should she really have just kept it like mute?
The fact that he said, thanks for letting me know, and didn't even follow up with another option or another suggestion.
I mean, well, I think that you already kind of knew that was going to be what it was. Like, I mean, once she spoke out and said her piece on Chili's, I wouldn't expect him to follow up with a new place.
I think he understood, like, I think it's a heavy no.
Yeah, it was going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, this is it. I think she was a little petty for the like explanation, like, you know, where it's like, what's the song lyric? Drake, cheesecakes for family, Cheesecake Factory for family, or something like that.
Why you gotta beef for me and cheesecake? You know, I like to go there.
Yeah, something like.
Say I'm acting light skinned, can't take you nowhere.
So it's like,
place of families.
Man, I mean,
so
I felt him.
It reminds me of that a lot, but so yeah, so I think the response was a little petty, but I also feel like he was a little petty for suggesting Chili, and not only suggesting Chili's, like making Chili's like the definite.
A date at Chili's is actually
it's wild. It's actually wild. Big age. And honestly, I'll be real. Like I'm not gonna lie. I don't think she was petty enough. I think she could have been mean. I think that was a moment of time to learn someone very well, because I think like that's. From what she told us, like all the stuff he's been doing, to cut, like for you to have done all that chasing and talking, and then you invite a woman to Chili's, that's a backhand in the face. I'm not gonna lie. You tell it to any other kind of one, and they will read them to filth, and they might even post their information all over social medias, and maybe on every platform they could possibly get the word out that this man is broke and cheap, and that's what it's giving.
And because I know the friend that she's talking about, she's not even to put it plainly, she's not a Chili type of bitch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I think
that's why it was weird.
Doesn't exude Chili's at all.
Yeah, that's really what it is. And I think that's where the real disrespect steps in, because the whole point of dating is to take somebody to a place that they'll enjoy, where y'all can get to know each other at. And I do think that a lot of guys lose sight of that because they're too busy focused on how much money they're going to have to spend on this person. When if money is the limiting factor to where you can date at, then you need to like widen up the variety of places where you're choosing to take people to, because Chili's should never be.
Like Chili's is
Chili's
like, that's like but I felt her. That's families.
Yeah,
but large families and children, not her scene. I feel like that. Hi, that could have been.
So don't take me nowhere where they got ketchup on the table.
Thank you. And like the little pad to pay for it on the thing, like little iPads.
So let me say this. Okay, so I think that it'd be completely different if this was like date number 10. Y'all just going to go meet up at Chili's, whatever the case may be. Because nothing wrong with Chili's.
Because I love me. Why are you?
Chili's is a cool lunch spot, but it is not I'm trying to get back into your life type of date. I'm a firm believer in, if a man takes you serious, it's going to show in his actions. And it's going to show in his consideration of the places that he takes you.
Right.
It's not about it's not monetary. It does not equate to, if you take me serious, now you have to spend thousands. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you can go on Yelp, which is a very good platform that gives you a variety of restaurants that can be within your price range, and they can still be nice, they can still be accommodating, and they can still show that person that, hey, you know, I really want to get to know you, and I really want to take you to somewhere new. I want to take you to somewhere that's interesting, or whatever it is. So that man's just not ready to date. He's not ready to date, or he's trying to humble you. And I think
can't. Men need to stop trying to humble women.
Yeah,
because like you end up like, it's just, it doesn't work. And like also like these miniature weird tests. Like, stop testing grown women, or women, stop testing grown men. Like, if you want to fool with someone, fool with them. Like, don't sit here and like try to figure out, oh, let me see how much I can make a person suffer. That's weird.
I don't think it's suffering. I think it's I think that it's he's trying to see if you like him for him, or if you like him for money. And men swear that women are trying to use them for money that they don't have.
It's not even that. Like, okay, this I always tell people, okay, when you're trying to deal with a woman, look at her. Look at what she does for herself. And if you feel like you cannot match, at least match. Leave it alone. I feel like I feel like people need to start leaving people alone. Because I just feel like a lot of people want to deal with people that are like grade F, and they can grade A, and they're grade Z. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's okay though. Like, there are people for you in grade W, X, Y, and Z for you to deal with. But don't go deal with grade A people and now try to bring them down to grade Z level. That's not fair. Leave them alone. There are people for them. That's not cool. I don't think you should now try to like bring someone down to your level. Like, you should always try to meet someone and surpass it. You should never try to bring them down to your low vibrational level. I think it's weird.
See,
yeah,
I agree with with your sentiment. It did come off a bit harsh, but
you have to be harsh about these things now.
I know what you mean. I will say that I do think it's possible that two people from two different like social classes can date. I do think it's possible. I mean, because if you think about it, they do. Men do it all the time. Men definitely date girls who make a lot less money than them. Let's be fair. But I do think the real disrespect is just making sure that the date you're planning has to be what she actually likes to do. It can be based off of how much money you make, unless it's an elaborate thing. Like, mind you, what girl's just gonna be like, okay, of course I want to go on a helicopter ride. Like, no girl kind of wants to do that every single day. But if you got the money to spend it, surprise her with that. But don't surprise nobody with no Chili's date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think if you can't afford something elaborate, then maybe, do something she likes to do. That's what I think the real miss was.
Like, it didn't necessarily, I feel like a lot of men focus on food. It could have been an activity. Y'all could have went and played golf. Y'all could have went and played pickleball. Y'all could have went
to the movies.
Y'all could that, or just went in like, y'all could have went to a pottery class. Those are rare, or a painting class.
I'm not gonna lie. The last time I went to the movies, it was easily a $75 night.
What did y'all get?
So between the tickets, getting food, and getting one alcoholic beverage each, $75.
So do y'all think he was petty, or y'all think she was petty for responding like that?
I think she was very well in her right. I don't think she was petty.
I think that I think she was within her right. I think that at the end of the day, like, if you don't want to go to Chili's, you don't have to go to Chili's. We don't have to date, and that is okay.
Right.
I think that he is just not on her level.
But then,
and that's just being serious.
And also don't make like, and also too, because I can see this conversation going to where, I mean, that's materialist. No, not necessarily. Like at the end of the day, like if you know who you can take to Chili's and who you can't.
I don't think you should be able to take anyone to Chili's.
No, I like it's not.
I mean,
that.
respectfully. I mean,
respectfully. I don't think you should.
Because
But
I wouldn't say I've ever went on a date with Chili's, but I definitely went to Chili's with a guy multiple times.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a date setting. It was just like,
we're just having a bite to eat.
yeah,
like,
it's just
this,
like Chili's is right there. I'm hungry. I don't want
Yeah.
McDonald's, and I'm not gonna lie. I actually like Chili's. Like Chili's actually has some really good food, y'all. Y'all low-key sleep, but I would not go there at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Like that's just not what I want to spend my Friday night doing. Like I would actually like to spend my Fridays in a restaurant with dim lighting and a bomb ass menu.
And what I can like, and I agree.
And like, there's so many places with dim lighting and bomb ass menu that's affordable.
Yeah, and I agree with the
steakhouses.
friend from the Petty Chronicle. If I'm going to Chili's, that's with my family on a Friday night. Let's just be honest. It really is like, hey, like let's all meet up as a family. Where you want to go? Let's go somewhere affordable
that we know is going to be able to see all of us at once, and no reservations needed.
Gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, like,
cool.
And then that's another thing too. Like, then like people don't understand. Like, then like you're going to a place like no reservations involved. Like, it just seems like it just gives piss poor effort. And I don't think that's fair for a woman to accept that. You know
what? It's interesting we're talking about this because Clark recently, she did a video.
Who's Clark?
Clark, she's a social media influencer. She has like, I don't know how many followers she has on TikTok, but she has a lot. She has a big following. And she went to, I believe she went to Columbia. And she recently did a video about dating your socioeconomic class and how she won't date outside of it, right? But she really laid the groundwork and really explained why. And the reason she said was because she didn't come from money and privilege at all. Her dad went to prison when she was 4, and she lived with her mom, and she had to live with like, it was like seven of them living in like an apartment. And she said since she was 12 years old, she made sacrifices to make sure that she went to a top school. She went to a top law school. She was like mapping out, like applied for scholarships to make, she got like $500,000 in scholarships. Like when other people were partying, like she was sacrificing to make sure that she acquired the life that she wanted for herself. And she makes a lot of money now. And she was like, she understands that she's in a different social class than most people her age, but it would be almost unfair to the little girl that was 12 years old planning out her life to align herself with somebody who's not in her socioeconomic class, because she knows where her life wants to. Right. She knows where she wants her life to go. Yeah. She knows the doors that she wants to open for her, and she wants the person that she's with to be able to open those same doors. Yeah. And she says that it's not only about money; it's about what schools did you go to, like what is your ambition, like what are the sacrifices that you made to get where you're supposed to be. Right. And so a lot of people did not agree with her on that, and they just feel like it's very classist. Well, that's the word they really thrown on her. It's very classist, and
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that was very. I think the way she even presented the topic and the way she expressed herself to me was not belittling. It was very politely. And I'm not gonna lie, I was clapping at the end like, dang, like to me, this was delivered extremely well. Like this is what women are talking about. This is why dating has been a challenge for certain women now, because it's like dating down in a sense. Like a woman is forced to now, not saying forced because you're gonna do whatever you want to do, but a lot of people will come in and saying, well, at the end of the day, like, at the end of the day, it's not always about money, but it's like, yeah, it's not about money, but it's like, okay, like, but where's your head at? Like, what do you want to do? Like, do our values even align? Like, where you want to go in life? Do you even want to go there? Like, there are some people that have all these high aspirations and like their partner doesn't have any. And like, to me, I'm like, that's not equally yoked at all. Yeah. You should be equally yoked with your partner. Like, that's very important. So I enjoyed that post that she posted. I think it was very informative. I feel like people, if you ever get a time, it's probably on Instagram too, take time to listen to it. Like, she broke it down. Like, she wasn't being rude about it. She broke it down. And there were a lot of people in the comments that agree with her. Like, this is what I've been trying to tell people.
So I think for me, I think that a lot of what she is saying, because I actually haven't seen the post, but I think that a lot of what she is saying is that I don't know if someone in a lower socioeconomic class, because there's a difference. Okay, there's a difference between like you being in a lower socioeconomic class and you wanting to stay there, and then like she said, like her having that ambition, her drive, her sacrifices to get her out of that class and move her up. So for me, I kind of agree with her. It's like, okay, if I'm in this class, why would I date somebody in a lower class that maybe wants to stay there? And that's okay.
Right.
Like, it's okay with being content in where you're at. It's okay with, hey, I am able to afford my bills. I am able to eat. I'm okay with that. And that's okay for some people. But clearly she wants more, because she would not have made the sacrifices she made if she didn't want more.
Right.
So it would be a disservice to herself to date someone that's not able to meet her drive, in AKA her socioeconomic class. And I also think it's like, I feel like, I don't know if we've had that conversation before where we talked about like hypergamy, where, you know, women tend to date men in their socioeconomic class or up. Like I know Michelle had stated earlier, like men do tend to go down, but I think that has a lot to do with wanting to be the provider. Whereas for women, a lot do not have that mindset. Hey, I'm trying to be the breadwinner. I'm trying to be the provider of the household. So they would not date anyone that would make less than them, because then that would in turn put them in that position. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with what she said.
And like a lot of like women, it's so funny you said that, because they were in the comments also saying like, yeah, like I have been on the other side of things, and like I was paying on the bills. I was always stressed. There was always unnecessary arguments. Like I believe that every person, man or woman, just date within like where you're at. Like not saying that you're looking down on people, just date with people that you're equally yoked with. Like there's no point sometimes, like I feel like people want to get next to like, I feel like sometimes it gives like you want to be like I don't want to say like because you always want to help somebody, like get someone. No, like someone should be on the same level of you when it comes to, like I said, value, what you see for yourself, your drive, that y'all should be on the same level at least. Because at the end of the day, y'all are going to start pulling each other down. You need to be able to be moving forward as a collective.
So the thing is, it's like, I feel like I kind of struggle with this though. So how do y'all feel about someone that doesn't see the importance of like education or even going to a trade school? Because that kind of goes back to like dating within your socioeconomic class. Like, how do you navigate that space?
See, I don't see anything wrong with a trade school. I'm not gonna lie.
That's education.
That's education.
No, but I'm saying like, but they don't even want to do that.
Yeah, I'll be real with
Do
you.
you feel like someone has to have like some type of like
formal education?
Yeah,
like
education
formal
is
education.
extremely important. For me, education is important. I'm not gonna lie. Without it, that to me that's currency in a sense. So I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, but I like to like be with people that, if it's trade school, cool, college, cool, but something, continuing education. Those people, the people that don't want to do that, I'm not going to probably like align myself with them. And just because, you know, value. I want my kids to be in school. Like, that's what I'm going to promote and preach. So,
and that's what I was going to say, because the reason why I feel like Clark is entitled to the way that she feels is because, like she said, that's something that was very important to her. Like, she fought to be in the class that she's in. Like, she literally fought for that. Like, she fought herself out of lower middle class or wherever, I don't know.
Poverty, maybe.
Yeah,
poverty.
To get to where she is. So they're not taking her back to the strip club, Stevie. Like, they're not doing that. So I feel like for people who like are raised where education is like very important, you have to understand like what household are you going to raise yourself, right? So how can I raise a household and teach my children that education is very important when my husband doesn't believe that, when their father does not believe that, when we're not like united on how we feel on that subject, and it's going to cause a lot of discord between us. So why would I set myself up to be having those type of arguments when I can actually just like align myself with somebody who has the same like values that I do, and those values are education is important, you know, and things like that. So I would not put myself in a situation to be with somebody who feels like education is nothing. That's just too much of a gamble, because I think regardless of like how much like the money that education can possibly give you, I think that education actually does like put you in a position to handle a lot of situations in this world. It equips you a lot for situations. So I'm not going with somebody who's just like
no, I agree with that. And like, so even does like how much a man makes, does that determine if you're going to take them serious or not? I mean, as long to me, okay, because I feel like that's such a sticky question. I even hate that that's a question. What I'm saying is that
still,
me personally, if a man can provide, if he's a provider, great. Like if I know he gonna go out and get it, and like for example, he's gonna sit there and go out and sell a brick. Not saying he gonna sell it, but you know what I mean. Like go out and go get it. Like to me, that's a provider. There are some people that are with people that they're not gonna go out and get it. They're just gonna sit there and sulk, and like trouble is just gonna come in and just like floodgates open, and it's just, you know, finito, done. So as long as he's a provider, hard worker, doing well for himself, like come on, always striving to be better, come on. You know what I mean? But of course our incomes have to support our lifestyle. That's a given. Of course.
Yeah, I'm not, and it's so crazy because I was just watching Orange County. In Orange County, there's this lady on there who she was she recently was divorced. She divorced her husband and he left her with like nothing. So she had to like downgrade her lifestyle, moved in with her new boyfriend, and they lived in like a small little house, right? She got back on her feet, became a real estate agent, and is like doing so well for herself. And then she made her boyfriend move out her house.
What?
Yes, with his 3 kids, because she was pretty much, the way she explained it was pretty much just, you know, I'm living in this place with 6 kids, 3 of mine and 3 of yours. And I want to give my kids better, but I almost feel guilty because I can't afford to give my kids and your kids the same thing. And I don't want my kids to have to not get anything just because you can't afford to give that to your kids. So she was like, so let me move my kids out of the situation so your kids don't feel jealous of what my kids are getting, which is pretty much the situation.
Right.
And a lot of people dragged her for it. And then a lot of people came to the defense. It was just like, not every woman is comfortable being a man's purse. Like, yeah, she can bankroll his whole lifestyle, but not every woman is going to want to do that. Like, a lot of women are going to bounce.
Not when kids are involved. And I can't believe she's still with him.
They're still together.
Yeah, no, we're not going to, because I feel like to any man's ego, that's done. Like, I mean, that's done. Like, she basically, like, she can't afford to take care of you and your kids.
At the same time, like, okay,
she
the
shouldn't
thing
have
is,
to.
I don't think that your ego should be that fragile. I think it's one of those things where it's like, if anything, that should be motivation.
Right.
That should be motivation to get out there and get it.
True.
Like, if you saw me go from, hey, I'm a divorcee with 3 children, like, on my ass, to I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to provide for my kids to give them a better life, that should be nothing but motivation.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. For me, okay, it's such a hard question.
Yeah.
Because it's not one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to take anyone serious that doesn't make X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, I'm not going to change my lifestyle to be with somebody.
Right.
So
I agree
if you feel like, if you're making me happy, you're a supportive husband, you are able to provide in past monetary ways, I love that. But at the same time, I'm also not going to now maybe not get my hair done as much, not do like my routine appointments, not go shopping, whatever the case may be, because you feel like your lifestyle is not able to afford that, then that's where we're going to have the issue at. And I think that is a lot of where people have issues, because it's like they want to continue living their lifestyle the way that they were before, but now they're with the man and the man's clocking their pocket. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't clock my pocket.
Yeah.
I was doing just fine before I met you.
Yeah,
Don't
I think
clock
the
me.
whole clocking the pocket thing, I agree there. That's so, would y'all want to be with someone you're making more than?
It's doable, but to be honest with
Has
you,
to be secure.
it's not gonna be. I'm the type of partner where I'm not gonna allow you to be complacent.
Of course, duh.
So if we start off in a relationship and let's say I make 100,000 and 2 years later I am now making 250,000, I'm also gonna push you to do that. You might go from 60 to 120 to 180 or whatever the case may be, but I'm always going to strive and push you to make more. It's never going to be a thing where I go from 100 to 250 and you stay at 60. It's just not possible.
But what if that's what they want to do?
That's not the person for me.
And so I was literally just about to say, me personally, I don't want to be making more than my husband. I don't want to, because I understand like finance is a major reason why people are divorcing and not being together anymore. And I know what kind of man I like and stuff like that. And I don't want to ever argue with a spouse about money. Like, there's so many things we could argue about. I don't want finances to be the major one. Let's do other things. Like, let's argue about what school we gonna send our kids to, what neighborhood we want to grow. Like, let's talk about, have a real argument about money. Like, I don't want to argue about money, even though it's inevitable sometimes. But me personally, I don't. Like, I will always be successful in everything and anything I do. I will always be a hard worker. I'm never gonna be down bad. That's just not in my blood, and it's never my portion. But I also respect the same for my spouse.
But at the same time,
we all need to be hard workers and ambitious as well. So
I feel like you should already be living on the lowest income. So for me, I know my lifestyle. I can't live on a certain amount. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, I wouldn't be with someone that makes below what my lifestyle needs to support it. You know?
But like also too,
but it's also okay for me, like, if I make a little bit more than my husband, maybe not even a little bit. I'm not even gonna say a little bit. If I make a lot more than my husband, I think that that's also okay. Because, like I said, at the same time, like, once you become a husband and wife, like, y'all are what's it called? Companions. And so it shouldn't be a thing where it's like my money, his money type of thing. Like, y'all should already be like communicating to where like, hey, we're living off the lowest income naturally.
Absolutely.
And so as long as I'm happy living off that income, it really doesn't matter if I make more.
I was gonna say the same. I don't think I mind making, or God forbid, let me not just speak this into existence. I'm saying while I'm saying I don't mind. No, what I'm saying is,
I know I'm making a lot of money. I want my husband to make a lot of money too.
No,
so.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that one person can make more with it while both people still make a lot of money.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is,
That's cool.
I wouldn't mind making more than my spouse, as long as it's not affecting our day to day.
Right.
Like, I don't want it to be a situation where I have to pay the rent, or I have, like, it's all these other things where it's like, now it's like I'm in control of like our finances, because it's like, we're, like Nikki said, we're going off my income. As long as you're able to support our household without me, then I'm fine with that, because there is going to be a time where I'm going to be on maternal leave and we cannot depend on my income to survive. So as long as your income is enough for us to survive and be level, then yeah, we can add my income on top, as extra. So I don't really mind, but it can't just be like, we're struggling on paycheck to paycheck, or,
because like,
God forbid, never
even like the Clark situation, to go back there, I was like, because I was in the comments just reading, like, it was interesting some of the things some of these like women were saying, and like wow, like, you're doing so well for yourself and like your partner's crippling you, because like now, like, you can't even think about the small business you want to start, because you're now over here responsible of taking care of all these additional bills, where it's like, we should be taking care of this together, but their income doesn't allow it.
But let me ask y'all this. So why is it that we feel like whenever we're dating men that make less than us, they're a little bit crippling sometimes in regards to our aspirations, us being able to achieve our goals? But for men, I feel like they kind of strive off of that. They strive off of dating someone that needs them monetarily, and I feel like that sometimes pushes them to want to do more. It doesn't cripple them. So why is
That's what providers do?
So why is it that they're able to achieve that?
But I'll tell you why. Because I think that powerful men usually choose women who add to their lives, right? So if you're like, have all this stuff going on, you're going to choose somebody who is going to make your life easier, who is going to like fill in all the blanks, who like your life is just like running very smoothly because you picked the perfect partner. So of course you don't mind dating down, because it's like, you don't need their finances. What you need is emotional and support, and probably them to run a few errands for you. Let's be fair. But I think on the other foot, when a woman is making more, she can't really rely on her. I mean, she should be able to, but a lot of times, are you going to rely on the guy who's making less to fill in the blanks for you? Because that's kind of emasculating to tell him like, hey, like, I had a busy day at work. Do you mind cleaning the house up so I come home to a clean house? That's emasculating. So at the same time, as a woman, you still feel like you need to be pouring into him the same way you would if he was this powerful, like, top CEO and all these other things. So the same way it's like you're trying to achieve your goals, you're also trying to make sure that he feels like he's a full man. It's like you're burning both ends of the candle,
right?
And he's receiving all of this, and what is he pouring back into you? Words of affirmation.
Right. Because, like, this is so funny. This situation describes, I don't know if y'all out there watch Desperate Housewives and you're familiar with Lynette and Tom Scavo. This is their lifestyle.
It's the first one for me.
Like, this is their life. I mean, because this is their life. Like, it started off as Lynette and Tom were both breadwinners. They were in marketing like geniuses. They were good at their job. Then Lynette fell pregnant. So Tom was like, I want my wife to, Lynette became pregnant. Tom was like, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom. Lynette didn't know he wanted that, and that kind of created a friction. So, of course, she became a stay-at-home mom, did what she had to do for the family. She kept getting pregnant. So finally, she was able to go back to work. And now it's a power shift. She's like, well, we both can't be at work. So Tom became a stay-at-home dad. And it's crazy because you're saying all those things like where you fill in. He started feeling as if Lynette was like emasculating him a lot, because now she's the breadwinner and now she's the provider, and like there's certain things that she used to do before she became a working mom again. And so I don't know, now I'm in season 8 and they're separating because that's not sustainable. Like, I'll be honest with you, and like it's weird, I know y'all out there, y'all gonna be in the comments because I know y'all watch Desperate Housewives. Tom was the worst husband because he didn't provide anything. He was complacent. Majority of their marriage.
Which, oh my gosh, not to take
he didn't want more.
Too left to another TV show. I just saw this breakdown about Topanga and Jori, and about how like she constantly like let go of all these opportunities for him, and he never even cared about it. Like he constantly just wanted to like pull her down a peg because she was the bad bitch that he didn't deserve. Let's be honest.
Right.
Like he never understood how he got her. And so he always wanted to make her feel like she wasn't a bad bitch.
Right.
To the point where she passed down on, what was it, Yale? Was it Yale?
It was some school and went to that one community college.
Yeah, and it's just like,
I never understood that.
Why are the bad bitches turning down Yale for these ancient niggas? The same thing happened to Gilmore Girls. Like, I do not understand. Honestly, I feel like it's patriarchy because what is going on? And then when you look at the men in these situations, they're usually like low performing men, low value men, if you will.
Literally.
But that's really what it is. A lot of times as women, we are forced to sacrifice our goals for these relationships. Right. And I think that as, you know, time turns, it's like we're taking our power back a little bit more and realizing that like, we can earn a lot of money and we can find a man that earns a lot of money too. And we could be a power couple, or I could do it alone. But I'm not going to like, I'm not about to have no house husband.
I think that's where I'm at. Like, okay, because like I know, like I don't want y'all to think, oh, you can't handle a man that you make more than. It's not even that. It's just like I don't want a house husband. I don't want that. Like, I don't want that type of dynamic.
But if you're making 175, he's making 150.
That's okay. Like, what I was saying is like I'm over
within
here
the same tax bracket.
Yeah, like if we're not in the same tax bracket, I don't know, bro. I'll be real. I don't know. Like I'll have to keep it a buck. I don't know.
But then I think it also depends. So for me, it's gonna depend on how effortlessly I make that money.
Right. Because if I'm working hard,
if I have to work 7 days a week to make that type of money, and he's like barely making anything, that's completely different than me working 2-3 days a week and making that type of money and still having a work-life balance. I think it all just comes down to ego, work-life balance. Like, I think that that's really where everything comes into play to really be able to make it work.
But you know what's crazy? And y'all gonna call cat, but I really do think that like money is not like very, I don't know, because it's like I be dating guys and I never really know how much they make. So I do think that that's like very low on the totem pole. But I really look at like, what do you do? Maybe it's like a high earning career, but it's like salary wise, it's like when do you really get to that conversation? It's to like down to the dollar amount. How much do I make? How much do you make?
I didn't think it was an issue.
I don't think I'll ever be 100% of telling my spouse how much I truly.
That's what I'm saying. So how do you know who actually?
But you just have an idea of what they make.
Yeah, I didn't think it was an issue until because I'm on like a recent dating journey. Not recent, but I've been dating. And I was dating a guy and I really liked him. And the first 2 dates he paid for. Third date, he wanted to go Dutch. And
sorry, when I hear that word,
the gas around
when I hear that word, my stomach cringes.
Turns.
That's like, he's not a man.
And that's whenever I realized like, hey, these things are actually important to be able to understand. And so that was actually a big.
But that doesn't mean he don't have money. He could really just be of that mindset of just like, but like, it's time for you to pick up.
Can I be honest? Can I be real with you? No.
So I think it would be different.
No.
So for me, I might not be the type that like, hey, I'm going to outright pay for a date, but I do small things in between. Like even in between those dates, hey, I might, like if I come over to your house, I might bring something. Like I'm going to bring like a bottle. I'm going to bring like, we had like a movie night.
Step my game up.
I don't know.
I know that was a thing.
So we had a movie night. And so I bought like popcorn, candy, like really set it up like a movie night. So that's stuff I'm not gonna ask for in return. So for me, it's like, yeah, like of course, like I didn't pay for a date outright, but then to now turn around after that and you're expecting me to go Dutch with you on the next date.
Or after you brought the bottle and candy to his house, the same man? Oh,
yeah, like because I'll say I have to disagree. And the only reason why, because me, like, I don't know. As I get older, I realize like a man has to prove himself. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was actually literally talking to a married woman today, and she was like giving like game, like to all the, like we were just all talking. She was just like, no, ladies, like in the dating, when you're dating a man, like fall back. should not be doing so much. Like, he needs to win your favor over. Because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that love is there for you. Like, she's like, because a lot of women, y'all sit there and start doing all this stuff for a man who don't even know what he feels about you. And then before you know, she's like, you're in deeper than him. And she's like, and that's the position you don't want to be in. You don't want to be deeper than him. Guess we'll move on to other things. So another situation that's been going viral, it was also on TikTok, and I don't know if y'all know a Key Look. And so she recently was a MUA for a woman's wedding, and she kind of overstayed a little bit. Like, they booked her to just do makeup, and that was that. But she took it upon herself to record content, turn up with the groomsmen, go actually to the actual wedding, and she ended up getting kicked out. Mind you, to give context, she said that, her boyfriend, she recently found out he was cheating on her. So she was miserable. She was even on the job crying, and like they were, uplifting her, trying to tell her like everything's going to be okay, this, that, and the third. So she came back the next day. I think it was like an entire weekend. She came back wasn't it the same day?
No.
It was 2 days, right?
No. It was not. So she said that they had no idea that she even was going through a breakup.
Okay.
So she kind of just
came in. Okay.
Just held it in the chest. But I think because sometimes when she was a bride's makeup artist. I think she has a makeup company, so she does makeup artists and she does makeup and hair or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so she was asking them there were some viral TikToks that she was doing. She wanted them to participate in, and she was getting them at different points of the wedding. She was only booked to be there for the makeup session, and 2 hours into how some brides the book a touch up. So that was that. Now the issue started when they started having like these key moments that any wedding's gonna have. Like, for instance, the first look. She was at the first look as a makeup artist. Like, and even when the photographer captured pictures of the first look, you can see her in the background. So now it's like you're ruining like these people's wedding pictures. Like, even in some of her content, you see her that she's recording. Like, she's literally in the middle of the aisle of the wedding. So you're standing up in the middle of the aisle and you're not even dressed for the wedding. Like, she's in all black with a bun. Like, she's not even dressed for it. So even from her content, you're kind of seeing like, something's not right here, because you're definitely missing certain social cues, because even watching it, you can kind of see from the behavior of the guests that they were almost uncomfortable. Like, it was given like, I'm laughing because you have a camera in my face, but I also don't understand why you're here.
Why you're doing it.
So it wasn't until later on that someone approached her and pretty much asked her to leave. And I think the groom actually told her like, you're being fucking annoying. Like, you need to get out. And it was the bride who comforted her and was just like, well, you're not annoying me if you want to stay, da-da-da. She ends up leaving the wedding, and then she's in her car and she decides, you know what, I'm not going to let them run me out. I need to like finish what I started with this content. Mm-hmm. So she goes back to the wedding. Mind you, the groom kicked her out. She goes back to the wedding, and then she's met by, I think, the wedding planner, who's like, no, you actually need to go. And as she's the wedding planner talking to her, she says she looks at the corner and she's security walking towards them. So she's like, oh my gosh, she goes, I have not done anything for y'all to kick me out and to like have security escort me out. Like, it's so embarrassing. Like, I haven't done anything. She continues to like post all the content that she's posted, but it was very bizarre. I'm not gonna lie, it's very bizarre. All the videos are deleted now, but it was really giving like single white female like a weird attachment to like this bride and groom and the wedding party, and it was just like super weird. But I don't know. Have y'all?
I thought that was extreme. I think she overplayed her part. Like, I don't think, like, for example, yes, you have a beauty glam squad, right? But if they didn't book a package to where you're recording content or they're purchasing content off you shouldn't be doing all that. Yeah. It should be minimal. Like, you're just getting the bride. And yeah, you can get all the bridesmaids, but it shouldn't be a thing where now like you're getting involved in what they got going on. Because also they have camera crews there too for their day. So you're not part of that. So now you're kind of getting in the way of the vision a little bit. So I'm not gonna lie. At first, I didn't see the wrong in what she did. I'm like, oh my God, like she's just doing her job. But then when I finally finished watching everything and I saw what she did, I think she kind of crossed a lot of boundaries.
She did. And mind you, it came out that the bride, first off, it came out that it was an unplugged wedding. Unplugged wedding usually means like no phones. The only cameras and photos that are allowed are from the photographers.
And she was like in the actual service, like,
yes,
like it was a lot.
So one, they said it was unplugged, and two, they said that the bride is not even heavy on social media. She does not know anything about the trends, and she doesn't even post. This whole thing went viral. Her page is still private. Like, she's a very, very private person. So they were like, this whole situation, even her wanting to be a part of these TikToks, she wasn't really with it, but she's just so nice and like soft spoken. She didn't really know how to advocate for herself.
I guess. Okay, so I am speaking without seeing these videos, but I think that naturally, like the era that we're in, every aspect, every person that you hire to do something for your wedding is going to want some type of content. So makeup artists, they're going to want content. Hair, they're going to want content. And then plus the photographer, plus whatever else the case may be. Now, her getting in the way, I think that is an issue. Like if you're seeing her in her photos, that is a really big issue. But I think that her staying to get content is really not that big of a deal. But I also think it's important as a person who is servicing a wedding, you need to dress the part. So if that means you come in a black dress, whatever the case may be, something that's like presentable to where like, hey, if someone did see you, it wouldn't be like you're like a sore thumb. But I don't really see that big of a deal.
See, I disagree because I think as a makeup artist, the only content you're allowed to get is the makeup.
It's makeup. You don't need to be doing TikTok trends with the bridesmaids. That's not your job.
No, she literally was like, she got the groomsmen, was telling them, okay, I need you to say this, this, and that. And mind you can say it with permission, but I do think that needs to be stated clearly beforehand. And I do think that there's a time that needs to be allotted. If you're booked for a certain time period and that time period passes, I do think that that's your cue to go.
Yeah, you don't stay and now start doing things and like
I said, I haven't seen the video, so I truly don't know the extent of what she's doing.
Yeah, I think basically she's overstaying her welcome.
But if
like she asked the groom for his lighter, then lost it, and then like mind you, like she said the one time she went to she left something in the bridal suite or whatever. So she said she went into the bridal suite and the bride and groom were actually in there. She could tell that they probably were annoyed, but she was like, I didn't know they were in there. But it's like, because you're not supposed to be there. Like the fact that you're going to the bridal suite and you're walking in on the bride and the groom, and then it's like you're on the golf cart with the
she just
the bridesmaid, and then even the photographer's trying to take a picture and she's telling the photographer, hey, I want to get a video of you saying this and doing this, and it's kind of just like now you're distracting the people who actually came to work.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it was just, I think it's just like this is a lesson on professionalism. Do the job you are paid to do, and then kind of wrap it up, especially for a wedding, because there are so many like
moving parts. Yeah,
there's so many things and points that need to be hit, and it's like it's very timely. Come to find out that they went 2 hours over, even they were late to the wedding because the makeup took so long because she was trying to gather content before even make sure makeup was finished.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like do your job, but then at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely see like makeup artists, hair artists, like they might be getting content while the bride or the groom is doing photos with the photographer. So I don't know. I don't think of it as like a huge deal, but at the same time, I understand what y'all are saying. Like overstaying your welcome, that is a really, really big deal. I think that I don't think people understand cues anymore.
Like, how do you know when you need to go?
That's what I was going to ask, because have you ever, like, maybe you've been in a situation and you're sitting there and you're just like, okay, well, I don't want to leave abruptly, but I'm actually not sure, like, if I'm overstaying my welcome or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How do you decide, like, what's a good cue where it's just like, okay, y'all, time to wrap it up. Time to go.
A good keyword like that.
A good cue or like something to let you know that you probably overstayed your welcome.
If someone says I'm getting tired.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I feel like at that point it's too late. You've overstayed.
Or like there's a lot of
it's too late.
There's like a lot of pauses, like delay and like movement. Like it's just okay, it's time to go. Like it's a standstill. It's time to go. Like it's a standstill. Like no one's really talking. Nothing. It's time to go. Like it's okay.
But then what if people like? I feel like sometimes I get those, but then I'll be like, okay, let me go ahead and leave. And then people are like, why are you leaving?
Because it's time to go.
Exactly.
It's time to go.
And I'm like, well, what were we doing? Like,
yeah, because your social cue told you it's time to go. Maybe theirs isn't telling you that, but yours is telling you it's time to wrap it up. And it's okay. Like that's your social cue. I feel like me personally, I feel like with social cues, not everybody has to be on one accord with it. Like I think that's like a personal thing. Like sometimes, for example, like you be wondering like, dang, why are you already leaving this? Like I'm already like, I'm ready to go. You know, and it's like maybe some people are just still wanting to stay and have fun, but some people are like, you know, my social battery's low. Now I'm ready to go. It's like the cue of mine. I'm ready to go.
But I think your social battery being low is very different. Like social battery is like, I'm ready to go, but sometimes you're not ready to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not ready to go, but a part of you feels like it's time
the vibe
to
is
go.
like, hey, it's like they're kicking me out.
It's time to go. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like every time I'm ready to go, I've been ready to go. Because like it's like the vibe is just like I'm ready to go.
Have y'all ever been kicked out of anywhere?
No.
You know, I want to say yes, but I don't know where. I'm sure I have been. I'm actually pretty positive that I have, but not necessarily by like the people I was with.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure like probably catching a vibe and it's like
time to go.
I've definitely been in an environment and watched the lights turn on and be like, yo, is this why the lights on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've definitely been in an environment where I knew, like, due to some of the people that were there, they're like, hey, your presence makes it awkward. And so I think it's one of those things where it's like, that person, they were trying to like spare me, whatever the case may be. So they're like, hey, either you can deal with this awkwardness or you can like choose to leave.
But then what?
I know.
Then make them leave.
Okay, so what do you mean? What's the okay? No, please explain.
So I've been in a situation where like, what was it? It was actually like a kind of like a birthday celebration type of thing. You know how like some people have like different moving parts to their birthday celebration. Like, oh, okay, we start here at pre-gaming, and then we're dinner, and then club, and then after hours, whatever the case may be. And so we got to the pre-game. It was actually the pre-game, which is crazy enough. And
that actually is crazy. If you make you feel comfortable, I'm going home.
Yeah,
like, whatever y'all.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So I got there and they were just like, yeah, so this person doesn't really feel comfortable with you being here, and that person was closer to the celebrant.
Oh, was it a guy or girl?
Girl. I mean,
wow.
You know, girls. So it was a girl, and so like one of my friends like put me aside and was like, hey, you know, like, because I think, which I appreciate that person coming to me and telling me, because I think it was one of those things where she's like, hey, I don't want people like over here whispering about what you have going on with this other person, and then you feeling like awkward, like people are talking about you. So like, I'm gonna let you know what the deal is, and if you choose to stay, that's on you. But I just want to let you know, like, hey, this is what I heard, this is whatever the case may be. And so she came to me, she told me about what people were saying, whatever the case may be, and I was just like, oh, okay, like that's no big deal, like I'm gonna leave. But then as soon as I left,
everyone's like, why? People start texting you, did you leave?
No, people started texting me like, hey, did you leave? And
guilty conscience.
I ignored everybody.
As you should.
Even the celebrant.
As you should.
I don't care.
I don't know. I feel like
as you fucking should.
I think in that situation, I wouldn't have left, just because I'm not gonna lie. Don't invite. Like, this is how I feel. It's your birthday. I don't care if your friend, your plus one, doesn't like that I'm here. Well, I'm here. They can leave because they're uncomfortable. I'm not. Like, I'll be real with you. Like,
but you know, you buy.
No, but you being uncomfortable is not gonna make me uncomfortable. You gotta leave.
I agree.
A pregame is different.
No, then let's pregame and turn up. Y'all, like, we've been in situations like that. I've been in situations like that where you're around girls who don't like you. I'm here.
Yeah,
you can leave.
I completely agree. But for me, it's one of those things where like I want to feel comfortable in whatever setting I am in, and I am not with like my day ones. Like, I am just with, like, don't get me wrong, even the girl that came up to me and told me like she's cool, but she ain't it.
True.
You know, so it's like,
but yeah, also, I don't know, like, because it's like, I don't know, because I feel like that's not fair to somebody. Like, at the end of the day, like, no, it's not fair to somebody. And I would say, like, I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but like, yeah, you're right, you're not there with your day ones, but you're not always going to be somewhere with your day ones. So it's just having the comfortability, just, I'm here. Like, no one can ever like finesse you out your spot. Like, I'm here. Like, if you don't feel comfortable because I'm here, that I think that sounds like a personal problem, not a Nikki problem. So just enjoy yourself.
So let me ask y'all. So like, I feel like I need advice, because I have a really like, so this is the reason why I actually stopped doing it, is because I don't know how to handle it. So I stopped inviting men over to my place because I don't know how I don't know how to, like, sometimes like we talked about like social battery runs out, and like sometimes I'd be like, hey y'all, I'm tired.
Right.
I don't want to communicate anymore. I actually just want to sit here on my, it's the thing where I don't want to go to sleep. I just want to sit here on my couch and watch movies, but I want to do it alone. So how do you communicate that? Or like, what cues do y'all give to men whenever a man's over and like you're ready for him to go?
I'm not gonna lie. You're going to hear my whole to-do list for the next I got to be up at 6:30. I'll be like, dang, what are you doing? If you ask what I'm doing the next day, today is over. That's what that means. Tonight is wrapping up.
Right.
Yeah. What are you doing tomorrow? And they list whatever bullshit they got going on. I got an early day. I have so much to do tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm already overwhelmed thinking everything I have to do tomorrow. Oh, what time are you going to sleep? I don't know. Like, low-key, I said I was going to go to sleep at like 10, but I don't know. I hope he picks up on like the fact that I should be asleep already.
Right. I haven't had that situation come up yet, but if I was in that situation, I'd kind of be direct. Like, I'm ready to go to bed. And
so you gotta go. You kick him out.
You're not staying here. Like, I see that's the thing. Like, unless like that, and like I'm not capping here, but I really don't let men come to my house like that unless like we're, you know what I'm saying. And so if we're not you can't have the expectation. You're going home.
Okay, so say you're.
If we are, but the thing is, if we're locked in, I'm not gonna want you to leave. That's the thing. I'm not gonna ever want you to leave.
Sometimes
if someone like that's like a visitor coming, I'm not gonna like, oh, I have a lot to do tomorrow morning, so let's wrap it up. Like,
we're not talking about like, no,
randoms. Like even a guy. Like,
it's never gonna be a random, but it's like it's one of those things where like, okay, let's say that hey, you went out on a date. He's like, hey, let's nightcap. Whatever the case may be, like, oh yeah, come in for a drink. Let's talk for a little bit.
Nightcap is crazy. You know what a nightcap is?
Yeah, it's.
I think
nightcaps.
It normally involves like.
No, it does not.
Having I feel like depends on where you're at. Because I'm going to be honest with you.
I
wouldn't have
thought
a nightcap at
was
my house.
spending the night.
No, a nightcap is like
it's like after the date, like
after the date.
Because what if 50
go
Cent?
grab a drink somewhere?
Or we can,
but not
we
at
can
your
go
house,
down to my place. You know, a nightcap, or we can go do what you want.
I don't think just because you come in and have a drink at my house that means spend the night.
But I feel like, okay, so no, you're right. But I'm saying like that's the thing. If I have a nightcap
is very like
a nightcap is a drink. Sometimes an alcoholic drink that someone has just before going to bed. I didn't
exactly.
know that.
A nightcap is literally just like, hey, like let's have a drink. Let's talk about like our date that we just had, and then we go our separate ways. Well, not always go our separate ways, but
just end the night.
We just end our night. That's a nightcap. So like sometimes like if a guy's dropping me off, I'd be like, hey, like we don't want it. Like it doesn't feel right to end the night right now.
So go somewhere for a drink.
Come in like and have a drink. Not always. Like sometimes like they're just dropping me off, and like we're having a good conversation, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, okay, like. You can come in, let's have a drink, whatever the case may be. It's not a lot of people, but at the same time, like, how do you navigate that space of, okay, we've had that drink. Our nightcap is kind of ending. I want you to go.
Yeah, I'll be. I don't know. I don't have a really good valid answer. I really don't have a good valid answer because in situations like that, I would know it'd be hard to do. So I wouldn't even like nightcap at that. I'd be like, we can nightcap up the street at this restaurant because like. Getting someone to leave somewhere and y'all been drinking, it's late. It's always going to be a challenge. Like, but if you're at a restaurant, it's easy to do.
So what if a man said to y'all whenever y'all are at his house and you feel like he's ready for you to go?
I've never
experienced
someone that's ready for me to go. I'm ready to go. I'm the one that's ready to go. Every time. A man has never been like at the door like, all right. No.
I was ready to go.
Like what?
There.
You want me here actually.
Think about me. I'm on alert. Yeah. I know what you got planned, sir.
Right. I'm always ready
Can't
to go.
trick me.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
I have definitely experienced that. Actually in a relationship where it's like, yes, absolutely. I'll be at my man's house and I'll be like, okay, like we're going all night. And he got other plans and he'll be like, oh, okay, like I thought I was spending the night, whatever the case may be. He was just like, oh no, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, see me tomorrow? I thought you were going to see me when we wake up. And it's not the case. And I'm like, okay, like I'm like, sometimes I feel butthurt about it. But then at the same time, like I understand we have to have space.
Yeah,
so it's like,
definitely.
Or how about on the other hand where like, this has ever happened to me. But like say a guy comes over and you think he's gonna spend the night, but then he don't.
I'm okay. That's a win.
No, I'm not saying that he don't, but like you actually want, say it's your boyfriend. Like
oh yeah.
You want him to
when
stay
he
the
leaves,
night.
and
where are you going?
Yeah, like, it's kind of confusing.
What do you have going on?
Confusing.
What do you have going on that you can't spend the night? Like I've definitely had situations where it's like, okay, like have to be up early in the morning. Okay.
Right.
You can get up early here too. Like,
right.
You might just need to get up extra 30 minutes to get back to your house, but you can get up early here. So spend the night.
Sorry, no, because getting up early from your bed hits different.
Yeah, and
getting early to drive is.
It's funny that you said that because I used to be a big person like, oh no, you should like stay, like stay here, this and that. But it's like no, like especially as you're getting older and you have more demand, like responsibilities. Yeah, I'm gonna go to my bed and get up from my bed. Like, there's no point in fighting traffic to get home. No, I'm gonna go home respectfully, like, and it's okay. There's always the weekend, like, there's always another day, So I don't know.
Okay. So have you ever been like in a situation where you're ready to go, but the person that you came with is not ready to go?
Yes, a lot. You just have to endure. Honestly, you just have to endure. Dial it back in, reel yourself back in, force yourself to be involved again.
Okay,
yeah.
And not just say it this way. How about on the other hand, where say it's not even a situation, right? Say it's not even a situation where like there's no social cues. Like y'all are having a good ass time. Like it's like y'all in the thick of it, right? And then the person you're with is ready to go. How do you get in that situation?
So I thank God for Lyft and Uber. Because in those moments, if I'm ready to go, I'm gonna go.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not going to go and leave my friend in a situation that could be compromising. So it's like, unfortunately, sometimes as women, whenever you decide like, hey, I'm going to go with the plot and I'm going with her for the night, I'm riding with her, whatever the case may be, you might be in situations where you're ready to go, but you're not going to leave your friend in that situation for something potential bad to happen, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to stay. But at the same time, I'm a firm believer in, people are always asking me like, why are you always driving? Why are you always this? Because like, I want to stick and move the way I want to stick and move. I feel that. So it's like, sometimes I don't always want to be at those spots. Or sometimes the man I want to be around, y'all don't want to be around, which is cool.
Not
but that's
y'all. It's about us, girl.
Yeah. Well, y'all are my friends, right? So it's like, yeah. So like sometimes y'all don't want to be around the man I want to be around, which is cool, but I want to be around him. So I'm not going to force y'all to be around him. So yeah, I just make sure I have my own way, even if I'm not driving, Lyft and Uber, always on standby, black. But yeah, so that's usually how I go about it. It's just I just make sure I have my own way to and from.
Yeah, if I'm the only person there, I'm gonna take the L. It's gonna be a hard L to take, but I always take the L. But there are some times where it's just like, I could see in the beginning. Sometimes I could tell like if my social battery is getting low, and I'm just like, hey, I'm not gonna lie, like there's not the night for me. But usually it's like I'll take the L.
But then sometimes you take that L and it doesn't even
be an L.
You end up having a great time. And so I love nights like that.
Nights, yeah.
Right. No. If I'm ready to go, I'm leaving.
Really? Yeah. One thing about Paulette.
If I'm ready to go, I'm leaving. I don't know. I used to have it in me, but I don't have it in me to force myself to be somewhere I don't want to be anymore. That to me is like I'm inconveniencing myself at the expense of others. And you have to sometimes remind yourself, like not saying like looking at it from a selfish standpoint, but like tables will turn. If someone was ready to go, they leave too. It's just like, okay, just enjoy your time. I don't have to stay. I want to leave. So let me leave and be peaceful and peace and enjoy your time. So yeah, one thing about me, y'all, I'm gonna leave. But I'm never gonna leave and like it'd be weird. Does that make sense? Like if someone's by themselves, I'm gonna make sure like, okay, I'm gonna stay as much as possible till that person's ready to go. Like it's kind of a thing where it's like, all right, cool, I've stayed to a point where, okay, but now we're both leaving. At least I'm leaving. So like, yeah. But it's never a thing I'm gonna leave a friend by themselves. But like normally, if I'm out in a big crowd and I'm ready to go, I'm going. Because it's like, there's no point in forcing yourself to be somewhere you don't want to be at.
No, I completely agree. Don't force yourself. Like I'm a firm believer in don't force anything in this life. It is what it is.
Period.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next topic. So there's been like an extreme discourse over Tyla and the VMAs, and when I forgot the name of the award that she won, but
Afrobeat Artist of the Year or something like that.
What she said. And it was not Lil Nas X and Hal Bailey that gave her the award. Ooh. And isn't it Hal?
That's crazy.
Hallie.
You know what's so crazy?
Girl.
It's not just you. Everyone stumbles over that name and I'm so confused. I'm just like, is Hallie like a name that's like not very common?
It's Hallie.
It's Hallie.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, Hallie was such a common name. And it's like a lot of people like
Halle Bailey
her name.
spells her name?
No, Halle Berry?
Halle Berry.
I said Halle Bailey. You know what I mean?
No, but that's how Halle Berry spells her name too. I do not understand why.
Because when people talk about them, I don't hear the Halle. They say Chloe and Hal. I don't hear Halle.
That's crazy.
I thought Hal was like HAL.
And then they either call her, well, I've never heard, well, maybe we've called her, I haven't heard this rendition, but either they call her Haley. A lot of people call her Haley.
Yeah,
and I'm just
Hal.
like,
okay. Damn. Okay, so Lil Nas X and Halle Bailey gave her the award. Before Tyla gave her acceptance speech, she asked, well, from optics, it looked like she asked Halle to carry her award because it was heavy, but she asked if Lil Nas X could carry it, and he took it from her. And so it's now opened up this conversation talking about how like she was acting basically like a typical African, like, you know, being kind of like, you know, obnoxiously rude, which I didn't see it as that. But then it kind of goes down to when Tim's corrected Charlamagne on The Breakfast Club, or when Burna Boy be just talking crazy whenever he feels like it, because that's just what he does. And then also too, I think Rema did something too recently on The Breakfast Club that people are just like, ugh, Africans are just so rude.
Yeah, or even what's her name? What is her name? Is it Lucy V? She was one who played Harriet Tubman.
Oh,
or Cynthia.
Lucille. No, Cynthia. What's her name? The one that's in Wicked. coming
yes.
up?
Yes. I don't know.
They don't like her either. I do
Yeah.
think that the Africans do not have a very good reputation when it comes to the industry.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I guess I'll speak for myself. Like me personally, when I talk, I don't. Yes, like I'm funny and stuff. But my mannerisms are very serious. I don't really like. Yeah, you know, even when I'm being serious, someone's probably gonna view me like she must be mad. But it's like no, like our BFs are for real. Like we don't really be smiling to not be smiling. So me in that situation with Tyla, I didn't see Tyla being disrespectful. I didn't see it as disrespect. Like she just asked a question. You could have just said no or yes. And Lil Nas X chose to say yes, and he picked it up. So my thing is, if he didn't like the award from her, y'all would have something to say about him too. So why is it always a thing? And I feel like y'all are dogpiling now on Tyla. Like it's like she can't do right. And to me, like if she wants to talk her shit, she is allowed. Like she is doing well. Like I will have to give it to her. Her album was great. She's been getting awards, and she even in one of her speeches even said that Afro beats is more than just, there's more music than just Afro beats. Like she even said she's a pop artist. Like she don't even see herself as an Afro beat artist. So she basically was throwing shade at the VMAs like, why am I even in this category type stuff. So to me, it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But me personally, I just feel like the discourse y'all saying that Africans are rude people, I just feel like y'all got to get some confidence, because every African I know is confident in what they do. They're direct. They know exactly what they're saying and how they are going to say it and how it's landing. And I don't think someone should be penalized for that. And I think that's what's going on with Tyla. And then now y'all trying to throw other extra shit into it. It's like, no, like I think y'all are kind of intimidated by her confidence and how she's coming in the game. Like she has a lot of confidence in what she does, and I don't see the issue in it. If anyone else, if Sabrina Carpenter was acting like that, would y'all have an issue? No, y'all wouldn't.
Yeah.
So please,
I think
let's be, respectful here.
I think it's just also understanding different cultures. Like the culture, I speak mainly for Nigeria, but I'm sure it applies to like Africa in itself, like Ghana, South Africa, all the countries of the continent of Africa. Like we're very harsh. If like that's just how like that's just how the dynamic of the language and the interactions between people really are. Like, it's like you're raised having very tough skin. Things that are usually politically incorrect in America are like very normal conversation in Africa, just because it's like, it's a very like, the language is very blunt. The conversations are very blunt, and that's just how you're raised. That's how you interact. So a lot of times it doesn't really translate well into America. I can say that even as somebody who was raised in I said it wrong earlier, but how you say it? Diaspora? Okay. As somebody who is a child of West African immigrant parents and was raised in diaspora, even me sometimes, as I interact with people who were like raised in West Africa, even sometimes I'm easily offended, like going home and just hearing them, like it feels like they're picking you apart or just like saying little things and having other people tell you like, no, that's how we talk here. Like you cannot take offense. Like you have to harden your skin. Like that's just how we talk. That's how we're raised. Like the people who become successful in Africa are the people who master that. They master how to navigate through that. So you have to understand that most successful people in Africa are probably the people with the toughest skin, but it's like they can give it and they can take it. So it doesn't translate well into a country that is used to seeing Africa like displayed as like, like an impoverished nation, and people who come there, like you expect them to be coming with all humility, when it's just like, that's really not the case most of the time. Like a lot of these artists do, like they're going to pop their shit and they're going to like have that confidence about them. And of course it's not always going to translate well, but I also don't think they should be villainized or demonized for it, because if it's a Meg Thee Stallion or a Glorilla or a Beyonce or like you said, Sabrina Carpenter or Taylor Swift, I do think it's received well, but I think because international artists, because they're international, it's almost assumed that they should be grateful for the opportunity to even receive an award. And if they're not grateful, it almost comes off disrespectful. Like, how dare you hand the award off that we gave you in this country when you're not from here? That's how it comes off to me, And so
but if you go back to their respected countries, they're famous. So
yeah, they're very famous.
They're
so
behaving how they should.
I think a lot of times we need to just check our biases to make sure that we are not like projecting like things that we were probably fed that aren't really what they are.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that if these major award shows and platforms are going to profit off the likeness of African culture and, open up these different lanes of awards, and I think that, like Michelle said, we have to check our biases. We have to be less ethnocentric and realize that there are multiple cultures within this world. So do not automatically take offense to maybe how one says something, especially coming from a different culture. Because I do agree, like, for me, I can definitely see like where sometimes I used to take such offense to some of things like my African aunties and uncles would say to me. I'd be like, oh my gosh, how could you say that to somebody? But to them, that's just natural. And they're not trying to like cut you down. It's just them trying to give you advice. So I think it's one of those things like Michelle and Paulette both said, don't think that your culture is the only way. Don't think that your culture is the right way. You have to like put down those biases and be like, hey, like I'm trying to understand you, where you come from and your culture. And I want to respect it because I like your music. I like whatever it might be. I respect you as a person. So people just going in on Tyla, it just shows me yet again, which we're going through with the election, the racism that is deep rooted in this nation that is really hard to shake.
Yes, and the crazy part is there's a long list of people who have actually done the exact same thing. Cardi B did it. Mind you, she was hosting. Rihanna has done it before. I can't recall every single artist, but it's up to maybe like 6 or 7 that they were able to put up that have made a comment about how heavy the award actually is and have actually handed it off to either another person or placed it on the ground. So knowing that is a situation that's happened before, I don't understand how it became an issue once Tyla did it. And again, I think that goes back to just checking your biases, because I think a lot of it does just come from the simple fact that it's like you see this international artist and you think that they should be grateful for the opportunity. So when they come in acting like an artist who like deserves it, or who maybe isn't like just like, oh, here's the award, like someone else carry it, you almost take it as a disrespect when it's really not that.
Mm-hmm. So like being women from different cultures, like, so you're growing up in America, but you know, you were raised in a Nigerian household, African household. Do you feel like the space that you're currently in, you have to code switch to be able to fit in, or you maybe have to tone down your personality to be able to work in the corporate environment, to be able to get to like unlock new levels in your career, your relationships, whatever it might be?
It's crazy because, you know what's so crazy? We actually had a conversation with these guys about it who were like, and it was like both ways, right? Because one of the guys was pretty much saying like, he was saying about how like you have people who come from India, and maybe I won't even say India specifically, but maybe like South Asian countries or Asian countries in general, they come over here and a lot of times they have accents. And he said they very much lean into those accents, and they feel no need to code switch ever. He said so, and they're still regarded as very intelligent people. But it's only Nigerians who, when they come over, they really try hard to assimilate. They adopt like different accents just to make sure that, you know, like, okay, they try to be as far away from maybe like the African perception as possible, just so they can like project this image of like intellect or whatever.
Right.
And he was pretty much saying like, that's not fair. But another guy was pretty much, the way he said it was like, code switching is a survival skill, because we do not have the privilege of being labeled a model minority. Like, Asians are in America the model minority. So even from someone looking at somebody who's Asian, they have the privilege of even of them assuming that they are very intelligent, regardless if they are or not. It's like they're assuming that, okay, if you look this way, you probably did very well in school and this and that, Whereas Africans, it's like a completely different thing. So it's like you're trying to shy away from that perception. But the reason why I kind of agree with what the first guy was saying was because I think that in code switching, we further perpetuate that narrative, because the more you code switch, the more you give off that you are the intellectual immigrant, or you are the person who, okay, well, it's like you don't talk like this, or you don't use pidgin in the workplace, so you know you're a little bit more intellectual, right? So when people come into that space who talk like that, it's like, okay, those people are unintelligent. So that's why I feel like code switching does do like a little bit of disservice. Because
I was talking
code switch too,
with a group of women, and they said that we need to stop as Black women, we need to stop code switching. Like, because I'm not gonna lie, like when I'm around my friends, like there's a different way I talk. You know, as y'all can tell, listen to this podcast, like I have different accents, and so, but for the most part, my professional voice is how I talk, like 24/7, and even in the workplace. Like even I remember one time, I didn't have my picture as my Zoom yet. So like, you know, they just automatically assumed I was a Caucasian woman. just because of how I talk. But when they saw my picture, they're like, what? Paulette's a black woman. Like, they were taken aback because they're like, dang, like, she's so professional and this and that. Like, it was okay, to the point where I kind of was offended, and it says, I'm like, dang, like, how do black people sound to y'all? Like, I'm so confused. Like, I'm around so many people of different backgrounds, and like, they all talk like me and sound. So and it's weird how y'all are so like taken aback. Like, they were very shocked. And so, yeah, but I don't know. Like, me personally, am I going to stop code switching? Probably not. Just because, you know, you in a meeting and you say like like, come on, like, you start talking in slang, people gonna look at you like, read the room.
No, but I think that people look at code switching as like being such like polar opposites. Like,
yes,
I don't think it is. Like, the way that you talk right now, quite frankly, it could be very presentable in a professional setting. How I act
at work is not how I act.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and that's why we say code switching, because this is not how I talk to work. And you know what's so crazy?
Because, like, what is the difference? Like, okay, yeah,
it's a whole different voice.
Like, it's a whole different voice. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm not saying that at work. I will never say no on time. I'm never gonna say that. You know what I'm talking about? Do you hear me? Like, I'm always I don't talk slang at work. It's just not acceptable.
No, especially if I'm at a meeting
at all.
And you know what's crazy? Because I have a coworker who's Nigerian, and she started like a while after me. This girl does not code switch. She is not code switch, and not even her. I had a few people who didn't code switch, and I was really just. I think I even had a conversation with you about how like the younger generation doesn't code switch as much as we do. Like, even to the point where I was looking at some email and I was like, girl, you cannot send this email.
Girl, oh
like,
my God.
Do you understand that you do not want this? You talk like this documented. Like, you have to code switch.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to kind of play the game.
Yeah, you
play
have
dumb.
to.
You gotta play dumb and catch a dummy like a little bit. So
you can't be too smart.
Yeah, but at some point, sometimes I do think I code switch too much, because she even told me, she was like, well, one thing I'm never gonna do is kiss nobody's ass. One thing I'm never gonna do is yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, nobody, this, that, and the other. And I was kind of like,
that's manners.
Yeah, I was like, okay, no. But in some respects, she was like, yeah. But I did have to check myself a little bit, because a lot of times, like, I do think professional language sometimes can make you receive a lot more work than you really need to receive. Like, it's almost like someone puts something on your plate and you're like, okay, thank you. When in actuality, it's like, no, there's a way that you can like corporately check somebody. There's a way you can corporately just be like,
this is not in my bandwidth to complete right now, so I will not be able to accept this work.
Yeah, don't say sorry if you didn't do nothing wrong.
So let me ask y'all this, and just hear me out.
Heavy on it.
So what's the difference between code switching and being Uncle Tom? And I only say that because what you're doing by code switching, from my understanding, is you're now trying to play into a narrative of who you're actually not, to be able to be accepted by the superior race, by the white man. And quite frankly, that's basically what Uncle Tom was. He was doing whatever he could to be accepted by the white race. So I kind of agree with your coworker,
right,
in the sense of like, because the thing is, I had to realize that my name was given to me for a reason. And there's truly no reason why I'm writing my nickname on official documents to appease people and to appease the vocabulary and not being able to say my name.
Right.
So it's like, no, I'm going to use my name and you have to learn how to say my name. So I think that we are doing our culture a disservice by code switching, because now you're allowing people to further not accept this race, not accept you for who you truly are. So I don't know. Like, I kind of see them as hand in hand. I mean, of course, Uncle Tom has like this huge negative.
Because it's at the expense of black people. But I do see, I 100% see what you're saying, because I am unlearning like code switching. There's something that I am like actively trying to unlearn. But at the same time, it's a slow process, because half the time people really can't even understand what I'm saying anyway.
Right.
Because I really had somebody tell me the other day, or it was the other day when I first started, they were just like, I was like, why does she always look like that? She's like, oh, because she doesn't even know what you're saying, because I guess apparently I talk too fast for her, something like that. Sometimes I do have to like code switch just so people can understand exactly what I actually am saying, because I feel like I talk at a faster pace than most people can actually understand. But outside of that, I feel like the reason why I say I'm not an Uncle Tom is because in knowing that I guess I am code switching, I do try to act as an advocate. you know, at the same time. Like, just because
how can you be an advocate and not be true to yourself?
It's not about being true to yourself because at the same time, like, it is code switching. Like, for instance, like, I'm not going to sit here and talk slang and people cannot understand me. I'm trying to teach you slang while I'm in. While I'm at work,
but a lot of people code switch. I don't think it's a black thing. A lot of people code switch.
And I completely agree, but I think that we put like such a negative connotation on what it is to be an African American. Like, we automatically assume like we are, like, I think that people automatically assume we're speaking Ebonics, but
no,
we're not. We're speaking
but
proper
a lot of people
English.
code switch that are not even black. Like, if they know that they're in a corporate space, like, I have a corporate voice. Like, I just know I cannot sit here and be it's not gonna go in these kind of rooms. It's called reading the room. Like, that's not gonna go. Like, and you won't be in a lot of rooms behaving like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's that's just what it is. Like, especially if you want to be in corporate, if you want to move it to all these high places, that's not acceptable, and it never will be. It's unfortunate.
And see, the only reason why I have to disagree is because I feel like what makes the innovators and what makes the people stand out and what actually allows this world to progress is to have people that don't switch. Because I think that by you staying true to yourself, and it doesn't even have to just do with language, like, what if you have this idea and someone's constantly telling you that's the wrong way to think? And if you were to change up the way that you were thinking, you might not have a breakthrough. Let's look at the Einsteins. Let's look at the Michelangelos. Let's look at the what's it called? The Washingtons, whatever it might be. People are telling you, like, this is not right. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. But if they had code switched and they just got in line.
But I look at my code switching, I equate that to professionalism.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it just wouldn't be innovation.
See, okay, so I do see both sides, because again, I do see some people who are able to not code switch, and I admire that. I'm just like, you know what, honestly, like, that takes a certain level of courage that, like, I don't have, and I'll have to unlearn. But I do think that the same way code switching does Black people a disservice, I do think that we cannot take accountability away from the people who really the blame should be on for why we code switch in the first place. Because we are not code switching because we decided we want to code switch. We code switch because there is already a system that is set in place that we are trying to fit into. Right. So we know that in the system, in the workplaces that we work, if we want those promotions, if we want to get into certain rooms, there's a certain level, there is a certain people who they let into those rooms. And mind you, we can talk how we want to talk. We could talk slang, and we can make it harder for ourselves. But as a Black woman in certain spaces, it's hard enough, bro. Yeah. It's already hard enough to be the only Black person in a room. And then you have to put slang on top of that. And then you have people looking at you like, they don't know what you're talking about. You're changing your hairstyles every other week. Like, it's just like, it's already so much going on that it's just like, okay, let me add one more adversity on there. Yeah, I could be the innovator. I could be the trailblazer that says, okay, y'all, I'm going to bring Ebonics into the workplace. Or, okay, y'all, I'm just going to do this. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, or how about I just fly under the radar so I can get my raise, I can do this, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I do feel like I don't want to take away from the fact that as Black women, we do have it hard enough. Like, there is a reason that we code switch in the first place.
Yeah, like, we're not code switching because, I want to. If I didn't have to code switch, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Like,
I just know, like, there are going to be certain opportunities I'm not going to be awarded because of how I'm presenting
and
myself.
And on top of that, you see,
that's just what it is.
You see the people who don't code switch, and you see that you see how they're treated.
Yeah.
You know, so
they're
again,
blackballed, or like they're always involved in something.
Yeah, or they're seen as irresponsible. To the fact that it's like, I'm coaching, like, I have to coach people to be like, hey, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I understand that you want to type like this or say like this, but like, when you're in a professional setting, I'm not gonna, if you want to survive here, if you want to survive in this industry, if you do want to go far, you're gonna have to learn this. Right. And maybe when you get further enough where it doesn't, who gives a fuck how you talk or whatever, and you can make those rules, then you can show who you really are. Right. But you have to wait till you get there first. You can't be trying to get into the door talking how you want to talk, because no, that door will shut so quick. Like, and it might lock.
Yeah. Cause I will never forget, like, because I understood both sides, but I was siding on our side. I had I think I've told this story before. Back when I was working in healthcare, I was covering a clinic, and like, the office manager had like sent an email. And mind you, normally before she sends emails, she always has me proofread it. It's like I feel her. And so this time around, she didn't have me proofread it. And then like, the area manager she sent that to responded back to her and was like, you can't be talking ghetto like that. Mind you, I didn't think what she said was cool. I was like, oh, she done fucked up. Because she showed me the email. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to type this up to HR, drafted up a nice email. I'm just like, I get what she's saying, but you can't say that to people. But I had to talk to her. I sent the email to HR. That lady was out the door the next day. But I had to sit her down and talk to her like, hey, like, you can't, like, what she said wasn't right, but at the same time, you can't talk like that. That's not an appropriate email. That's not professional at all. She shouldn't have said that to you, but I want to tell you that I don't mind working with you to sharpen up your emails, because that wasn't professional at all. You shouldn't have hit send. That's something you should have me proofread. I would have went over that with you and even, like, worded it differently and even talked you through it. Like, but next time, like, I would never send an email like that ever again. And like, she appreciated me talking to her like that, because she's like, you know what, I'm like, yeah, because like, someone's not gonna ever know if they're never taught. Like, if someone doesn't sit there down and be like, hey, I'm on your side, but let me tell you how you can do this better. So yeah, like, I understand both sides. Like, like, there's just a way, like, I feel you when you tell people you can't approach emails like this. This is not professional. Like, there's a certain standard you need to follow. That's why it's a standard.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess that's more so the narrative that I'm trying to get away from, of saying that because I'm of a different culture, I am of a different race, the way I speak is no longer professional. So I want to stop correlating those two together. I think that you're able to stand within yourself and speak how you want to speak and still be professional. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, because again, one of my coworkers, like, she's the one who, like, one thing about her, like, she'll speak pidgin, all that stuff, and she even has me doing, like, we be there, like, I beg sundown, like, we just believe just be talking shit, whatever. But mind you, as much as she talks like that, and we talk like that in the workplace, if we're both in the same meeting, we're not talking like that.
Yeah, of course. But it's also because no one can understand that.
But that's what I'm saying.
But that's code switching.
I don't think that's code switching.
I
think that's just one of the things of, like, making it to where everyone can understand. That's not code switching. It'd be completely different. Like, that's now saying that. So maybe we have a different definition. So
no, there's only one definition of code switching.
So what I'm saying,
I got you.
But what I'm saying is that's not going to be code switching for me. Like, you're not going to make it to where someone can't understand your language and now say that that's code switching.
Well, I'm not making it so they can't understand my language. It's just colloquialisms and things that I would normally say. But I'm going to refrain from saying it in that environment, because
but you can't say it in that environment. So the thing is, it would be different if you were in a Nigerian environment and you were now trying to speak, like, let's say you're at a boardroom with Nigerians. You're not going to start speaking French.
But that is code switching.
But you understand?
I'm going to read you what code switching is. Okay. Code switching involves changing the way you behave or present yourself in order to fit in, make the people around you comfortable, disapprove a stereotype, or protect against discrimination.
Exactly.
So you are code switching. You're not code switching.
So making people feel comfortable. So the thing is, it's different. So if you cannot speak, Igbo language, if you cannot speak Yoruba, I'm not going to speak it around you. That's not code switching.
That's making someone feel comfortable,
that's not making
that's
someone,
in the definition of what you're saying.
No, that's not making someone feel comfortable. So if you're at a professional meeting, why would you be speaking in a different language that no one can understand you in?
So make them feel comfortable and speak a language they can all understand.
That's not code switching. That's not the thing. Okay. Or you would have it. No, it's not. It doesn't talk about language.
So say it differently. What? Okay. Same language. Okay, so say somebody says,
that's
like,
different. Like,
so say someone says, like, hey, no cap.
Exactly.
Not saying no cap, is that code switching?
So if you refuse to not say no cap, that is code switching.
But isn't that the same thing saying no wahala?
No, because no one knows what that is.
But you think
only a Nigerian person.
But Nikki, someone in that environment may not know what no cap means.
So this is the thing. So I look at it like this.
If the people, let me say it like this. If the people who knew what no cap meant, I would say it. But I'm in a room with people who's not gonna know what no cap means. Mm-hmm. And even if me saying no cap, they'll be like, what is she talking about? And I'm already black. Yeah. Me saying no cap is probably the same thing as me saying no wahala.
So you have to code switch to make them comfortable.
Like, I'm speaking to them in a language that they understand.
So, and I completely understand that. But what I'm saying is, by speaking pidgin, by speaking a completely different language other than what your counterparts speak, that's not code switching.
But actually, and if you read further definition, it has to do with languages, switching languages amongst people.
Let's take the difference between slang and a language.
Let's take away different language. Let's take away different.
Slang is a form of. Yes, come on, yes. What are we doing?
For the sake of the argument, let's take away different language, because I never mentioned. I was talking about pidgin, because think about Nigerians who come here who have a heavy accent. They probably speak pidgin, but they're gonna code switch and speak that they know they don't speak back home. That's code switching. Code switching is you're switching. You're forming now, right? You're switching up. You're switching up the way that you talk, the way that you would talk amongst friends. You're not talking like that in the same board. You're not talking like that in boardrooms. So mind you, where you would normally be like, hey, no cap, or that person is tripping. You may know what tripping mean, and you may think it's widely accepted, and so why everyone knows what that means. Them people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s are looking at you like tripping about who tripped. So you're not going to say that in that context. You're going to use words that are formally accepted in those spaces. That's what code switching is. You're using language that everyone understands and is comfortable with. To me, that's what code switching is.
It's
not like I'm like, you know what I mean? So I feel like refraining from using, I think, to me, pigeon is slang, though. I'll be honest. To me, pigeon is slang. So just because someone not understanding Nigerian slang, someone not understanding American slang, to me, it goes hand in hand. It's still code switching. I'm just Nigerian. If somebody was, say someone was Hispanic and they have Hispanic slang and they choose not to use it around me and they choose to talk in a proper American, not proper American voice, because that sounds like a Trumper, but they choose to speak in a tone and a language that they think that I'll understand. To me, that's code switching. If I know that when you're around your friends, you don't speak like that, it's code switching. You don't agree? Mm-mm. Okay. Well.
You have to agree to disagree. But
so what is your definition of code
there's only one definition of code switching.
The
definition of, I mean, I'm not understanding, because whenever we read the definition of code switching, it said nothing about language.
I read one definition, but if you go, we'll read another one so you can hear it.
So name an example of what you would think code switching is. Because some
examples of code switching include changing your language or dialect to assimilate into the predominant culture.
Okay.
So what was your understanding?
That's not my understanding of code switching.
Okay. So what's your understanding?
So I think that my understanding of code switching is changing up like your norms to be able to fit. Like, so basically, like, if you don't look at your actions as mundane, you're going to change up your actions to make them mundane.
Okay, give it more specific.
So,
like an example of like something you would do if you were code switching.
Let's see. So you're at the breakfast table. So let's say you're out to eat with let's say you're out to eat with your coworkers, and everyone orders avocado toast. You're not an avocado toast eater. You like grits. You like bacon. You like eggs. You like
any preference though?
That's not code switching.
No, look.
Okay, I'll let that count. But
look, so everyone at the table, you're out of a table of 10 people. You're one of 10. Mm-hmm. Everyone orders avocado toast, and you're like, well, then, dang, now I need to order avocado toast to be able to fit in.
That's not true.
Whereas you want to actually order grits. You want to order bacon. You want to order.
Switching at a restaurant is. I don't think
kind of like apples to oranges. I'll be real with you. That's not a good example.
Can you give me an example in the workplace?
Yeah,
I feel like that's more peer pressure.
I think
that's preference. What you like.
So the thing is,
she's saying that you decided to get something you normally wouldn't get.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it because
you chose to just
look
go
different.
No, it's not that. You just chose to go out of your You chose to try something new, so you don't be an oddball out. That's not code switching. That's just choosing to go with the flow.
That's absolutely code switching.
That's not code switching. The definition is not code switching.
So what is
you're trying to apply that to code switching?
You don't want to be an oddball, so you want to be able to
code switching with the. You know what? We have to agree to disagree, but
you know that
by the definition
that's
we've read
called caving into peer pressure.
That's not code switching.
Okay, you know what? I don't want to take away your understanding. So how about this? Only because I don't really know. I'm not what's called a linguist or whatever. So how about this? How about give another example, but in the actual workplace?
That's the thing. I don't code switch in the workplace. So
no. I'm not saying you. I'm saying give an example of code switching in the workplace. So yeah.
That's the thing. So I can only give you an example of what someone wanted me to do, but what I didn't do.
I'm not saying what you would do, girl. I'm saying give an example of somebody code switching, just so we could see that your understanding of the definition and how it would take place in the workplace. If Susie comes into work and she code switch, what does she do? You know? Yeah.
That's the thing.
See, maybe that's what it is, because maybe, and I'm not even trying to take it away from you, maybe that's where it is. It's like, it's not saying a lack of understanding, but since maybe it's just a lack of familiarity with code switching in the workplace.
Maybe.
So maybe it's hard for you to identify and see what it looks like.
Yeah, because it's just not something that I do. I think that, like I said, I think you truly limit yourself by trying to fit into the box that is professional or is okay in the workplace or is whatever it might be. And I think that this goes back because I was recently talking to a friend, actually a couple of days ago, and we were looking at some of the PhD dissertations from Cambridge. And I was looking at the dissertation and I was just like, wow, like it's amazing to me that someone's even able to think of this, you know? And when I think about that, I think like if someone was hounding on them to fit into these norms, to be able to make other people feel comfortable around them, they wouldn't have even got to this dissertation. They wouldn't have made this breakthrough. So, and that's how I think about it. So for me, I truly think that code switching is probably one of the largest disservices that we can do to ourselves, because we're continuously screaming like, hey, we're equals, we're this, we're that. And then as soon as we get the chance to be equals, we bow our heads down.
But I feel like that's like almost talking about people who were enslaved and saying, oh, the minute you get an opportunity to break away and be free and follow Harriet Tubman, you don't take it, when you know, like, there are risks that comes with it. It's not that people do not want freedom. It's that you understand that there is a risk associated with it. And yeah, there are a few trailblazers who are going to take that risk, but at the same time, you cannot fault the people who are not taking that risk, because it's like, there's a lot that comes with it. Not to compare us to slaves or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, you have to understand that, like, first off, being Black in a corporate space is not an easy feat. Like, I really do not want us to, like,
it's definitely not.
It is very hard. Like, Paul, you can speak to that a lot.
Absolutely.
Of times, you will be the only Black person
conversation
in the
kind of
room.
like, because it's like, I think in different type of like areas of like profession of work, code switching is not really needed, but in corporate it is. Unfortunately, you have to. There's no, like, I will be honest, I have not been anywhere where people are not code switching. I'll be in corporate. I can't speak to other places, but in corporate, even when I worked in healthcare, in clinics, you can't have to code switch. You can't sit there and like talk anyhow and like think everyone's gonna understand. It just doesn't work like that. And you won't get like awarded certain things.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that we have to get away from. I think we have to get away from just narrowing the definition of code switching to the way you speak.
No, but
I didn't say that. Okay,
but that's every example that we have used.
No. But Nikki, to be fair, you haven't even given one example.
You're right, but that's the thing.
So you can't.
And we gave two different definitions.
You can't say we have to get away from examples when you haven't provided any. And that's not even me getting on you. It's just saying that, like, we gave one and you're saying we need to give two in the absence of your one. But yeah, so I'm just saying that. But at the same time, I would say that, I mean, I remember going to a conference, right? And I remember sitting at the table, and I'm very quiet because, again, it's like only Black girls, literally the only Black girl. So I'm literally sitting here just like,
hate that.
Girl. So it's like, I'm already quiet because it's like, okay, and like people were talking to you, I remember sitting in a room and there was like someone across from me, I think like, I'm not going to shout at him, but he had his accolades or whatever. And then I had a name tag on, so I remember he read my last name. And he, like, I remember everybody was talking to him because like he apparently had done a lot of stuff as pandemic and COVID research, all this other stuff. So everyone was like literally crowded around him, right? So then he looked at me, my last name, and he was like, "Are you Igbo?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "How far now?" And the way he completely changed, everyone looked at him like,
what?
No, literally, you could see their faces like, because that's not how he was speaking before. And it's just like that little like olive branch just like meant so much to me. Just to just be like, okay, if someone's like,
now you felt included.
Yes,
now,
like, I see you, we see each other. You know what I mean? It was like one of those moments.
Like you have an ally here.
Yeah,
right
and it was just almost like a wink to just be like, we're all here, but at the same time it's like, I see
we're
you, girl.
here.
You know what I mean? And so I think that it's just like someone who, even as far as he's became, I mean, you have to know when to switch it on and when to switch it off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
absolutely. I think, and like, to wrap it up, you have to know when to switch it on, when you switch it off. Because even, I'll be honest with you, like I remember when I went for my job to like the training in California, y'all, we were in such a casual environment. I still code switch because you just read the room. Like you, as a woman of color, you just can never get too comfortable, and it sucks. But it's like you said, being like the only Black woman at like amongst your peers and colleagues,
It's disconcerting sometimes. And you know what it reminds me of, right? It reminds me of, I don't know if you ever watched Dance Moms, and I'll probably end it at this, but there was a girl, Cameron. Right? Okay, Dance Moms, it's with Abby Lee Miller and all the other stuff. There was a girl, Cameron, she was a dancer, and they came to the competition, and she forgot her clothes, her uniform. And so it was Lorianne Gibson. She's a boom cat, making a band lady. So she asked her, she was like, where's your uniform? Her mom's like, oh, okay, I forgot her, but please, I forgot her uniform, but please let her dance. And so she was asked the lady, girl, she was like, should I let her dance today or should I pull her from the dance because she doesn't have her uniform? All the girls were like, please let her dance, please let her dance. She's okay. She called the lady to the front. She was like, this is your dance, this is your performance. I don't care that your mom forgot. She's like, make sure that you have your uniform at every performance. And then she got real close to her ear and she was like, do not be the black girl that showed up to the competition and forgot her uniform. And in that moment, I was just like, you know what's crazy? From one black woman to another black woman, it was just like, it's that so is a real.
Big, that to me, she said a lot without saying like, a lot.
Because it's like, imagine you the only black girl here.
And your uniform is not present.
Yeah, it's already a stereotype. You know what I mean? You're already having to.
Mom let that happen.
Yeah, it's like you're already fighting uphill battle. And it's just like, please don't feed into the stereotype. So it's almost just like, that's really what it is. It's like being black in white spaces. And it's like you almost having to like negate and tear down all these stereotypes and still be yourself and still be human and still make these mistakes, but knowing these mistakes can be held against you. And not only you, but on your whole counterparts. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot of pressure sometimes. It really is. So sometimes I think it goes into code switching because it's like almost like you have to be the model of what a black person will be. Like, I deserve this opportunity.
And you know, honestly, to the end of here, it's interesting that you said that because where I work out at, like, there's an African American trainer, and like she's the sweetest woman ever. And like it's so crazy. Like we kind of like started getting like kind of forming a relationship of conversation. Like I used to be so weird talking to people there, like because it's a very like I look at it like it's not many black people go there to work out. Like I always feel like an oddball every time I'm there. And so finally, like it's like she started talking to me and like I could tell like she's forming comfortability because now she starts saying little slang words like bet. Even playlists are changing. I was just like, dang, like I think every time I'm around, it's like she feel like we're comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I love it and I hate that we have to do that. But it's like, dang, like it's kind of like what you said at your seminar. One person makes you feel comfortable because every time, like it's weird. Every time they like the playlist is changed, like we're listening to like good hip hop workout
like you see another person all of a sudden, and I mean it may go to like, Nikki's point about how like we're forming, but sometimes like another person just makes you feel like, okay, you know what, it's okay to be black now.
It's okay to be black. Like I'm like,
it's okay to be black. Like dang, like that sounds so
when I heard her say bet, I was like,
it actually sounds really bad when you think about it like that. But I mean
but it's like, but where she works,
let's examine.
I see why she acts like that because her colleague. Yeah, you have to be that way.
Yeah, let's examine like why we feel like it's not okay to be black. Let's examine that, and then we could talk about why I don't feel okay
to be black.
You know what I mean?
White spaces.
Yeah, honestly, but
yeah, it's very challenging.
Yeah, this was a good conversation. Yeah. Honestly, much needed. Much needed.
All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode with your favorite ladies from Petty Party Podcast. Please make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, even though y'all be going in. But still follow us on all those platforms. YouTube. I think that YouTube is really fun. You can watch us in 4K. You can interact with us. We're going to be doing new things, bringing y'all new avenues, a way to communicate with us. Make sure you send us in MOTOs, Petty Chronicles, to our email, DMs, regardless, we're going to see it. And thank you so much for joining us and for staying with us and for listening to us and tuning in weekly with us. It's your girl, Just Nick, checking out. Bye.
It's your girl, Paulette. Bye.
Bye, y'all. It's your girl, Shelly Shell. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Give me a P. Give me a E. Give me a T. T. Y. I'm petty all the time.